So after briefing the performers on their character and running through characterisation, I wanted the performers to now be hot-seated as their characters. This would help them embody the character but also develop lines of conversation for their improvisations.
Okay, so Alan, if you kind of go into your character now, I'll just ask you a few questions. So, what do you feel about Jake's character, i.e. Angelo?
I think he's kind of ruined a lot of my life and like family. He's trying to split everything apart. I don't like his rules and leadership sort of skill at all. He's just all round not very nice. I don't like him.
Jake, why do you think her brother should be sentenced to death?
But the law that very clearly states, the law that I wrote, there's no exception.
And Isabella, what do you think about that?
I think it's harsh. I think it's too much. He's a bit of a dictator and wants to their way all the time. And they need to look at every case individually and not just whitewash everyone with the same rule.
So you're...
I am the law.
This was proving positive, and therefore I wanted to provoke further debate. This will also be my role within the performance itself, and therefore this hot seating actually started taking the shape of the improvisational performance as it will be shown. Therefore I decided to keep encouraging this conversation.
You're both religious, obviously. Isabella, how do you think Jake's character is obeying his religion? Do you think he's right? Do you think he's being too harsh? What do you think God would think?
I think God would say she should go to hell. Because essentially that girl's death is on his hands. And potentially so could my brother's. That could be on his hands as well. And murder is a sin.
Well, God put me on this earth for a reason, and if that reason was to dictate and to pass out judgment, then so be it.
The fact that Jake, as a performer, was able to hold this debate without too much prompting and was able to come up with informed improvisation shows that characters are forming well and meaning is understood by the performer. On another note, there was some freezing of Skype as the performer was moving. This shows how Skype can lose its quality when the user is travelling.
Right, so objects. So as your characters, what is your favourite or most treasured object? So Jake, your character first.
I have a religious icon.
And your characters, what's your characters?
It would be my crucifix necklace.
Okay, and what does it mean to you?
I thought it was your chastity belt.
These humorous remarks from Jake were actually a very positive sign. It showed that the performer was very into character and was thinking exactly like his character. This was encouraged as it will keep the audience engaged and on their toes and listening to what the characters have to say. The humour was also relevant to the piece and to the meanings and to the themes.
Audience. So as ourselves now, what do we think we could do if the audience obviously doesn't respond to what we're saying, or they get offended during the piece, or they start going down lines that we don't want them to go down? What do we think that we could do as a kind of group to get it back on track?
I think if we set some kind of signal perhaps, or like a line or action that kind of says like wrap it up or something like that.
Yeah.
Code word almost.
Or
Yeah.
It could be something that almost brings us together in a unanimous decision.
Yeah.
So that the audience don't feel so torn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, obviously the audience has to make one or the other decision, but I think that if we can try and outnumber them in a way, like you say, if we can make the final decision somehow, then that'd be good.
It was important for me to include the performers in these ideas, as it is important that they're aware of the risks of this type of performance and feel comfortable with ways of dealing with the risks that are involved.